Elected school boards used to control public school busing to make sure that the buses were safe and drivers were properly licensed, but now there are 18 local transportation companies hired by 90 independent charter schools in the New Orleans area. And when accidents happen, that leaves some parents feeling taken for a ride. Tamiko Benjamin loves being a school bus driver, taking selfies with special needs students on her bus.
To do the job is to love the job.
But she's also a parent, and she's discovered not every bus driver is so dedicated.
I just feel like the job that I love to do, a lot of people are taking it for granted. And a lot of parents and a lot of people like me are not being heard.
Benjamin says she wasn't heard after her daughter, Darielle, a junior at New Orleans Charter Science and Math High School, experienced this in November.
My neck hurts, my back hurts, I fell on the floor.
We're driving on 3 wheels. We're stuck on the bridge, on side of people. This is ridiculous.
I got a phone call. She was real frantic. She was just scared. She was like, Mom, the entire tire came off the bus.
And what happened next only made things worse for Benjamin. Some of the kids got off the bus on the Crescent City connection.
And cars are moving and coming by, and it's just going, and my heart is just in the ground now because my child is literally on the interstate and the bus driver never got off the bus.
New Orleans Charter Science and Math and its bus providers said this was just a flat tire, and the driver kept driving to find a safe place to stop. The school said some kids got off the bus without the driver's permission, and some were picked up by a parent and also by a school counselor, both of whom happened to pass by in their cars and stopped to help. The rest, including Darielle, waited for another bus to collect them.
So I contacted the school myself and asked why wasn't I contacted about the accident, and they went to pointing the fingers and said that I needed to contact Rory Askins, the owner of Kids First.
Kids First is a local company founded by Rory Askin in 2014. It provides school bus service at 5 area charter schools, including New Orleans Charter Science and Math. 11 days before the incident on the bridge, an anonymous woman called City Hall claiming to be a Kids First driver who said the company's buses weren't safe. 2 weeks later, documents show the state police inspected 8 Kids First buses and found 67 violations, including no proof of insurance, no license plates, inoperable brake lights and turn signals, broken emergency exits, and a driver on a suspended license. Benjamin sent texts to Kids First owner Rory Askin, including a picture of a welt on her daughter's head.
She sustained injuries to the face. I sent a picture of that to Mr. Askins just so he can see that this is serious. My child is really hurt. I need you to contact me. To no avail.
Darielle says these photos were taken the next day as the bruising got worse. These records show she went to the hospital a week later after the Thanksgiving break and was suffering headaches. The school says Darielle didn't report any injury until 10 days after the incident. Askin says he didn't believe Darielle was really hurt on the bus. Askin stood by his driver's actions, but he would not disclose her full name, identifying her only as Antoinette.
Still asked him for the bus driver's name and his insurance information.
And he wouldn't provide it?
No avail. Would not provide. He went to the school and advised them not to give it to me, and the school refused to give it to me as well.
We used a public records request to get a list of bus drivers for New Orleans Charter Science and Math for this school year. They listed a male driver for Darielle's bus, but Darielle said Antoinette was her bus driver for months. Benjamin said she didn't know where to turn until she saw our Taken for a Ride reports.
The Taken for a Ride, I just felt like it was every single thing that I had been going through. My child rides a defective bus. I don't know the bus driver. When asked for the phone number to contact a bus driver, I'm refused to give. I think as a parent, I am due that right to know who my child is riding on the bus with.
We spent months gathering bus records from all 90 area charter schools. But now it appears several of the bus driver records we received are incorrect or out of date. For instance, KIPP provided a list of this year's bus drivers. The list includes Tamiko Benjamin, who says she hasn't driven for KIPP since last school year. KIPP never responded to explain the discrepancy. City Councilwoman Kristen Gisselson-Palmer says it raises another issue where government needs to step in to control school bus companies.
Is how are these bus drivers trained? Because at the end of the day, when an accident like that happens, we're even putting our kids in greater risk situations when they're outside of the bus, on a busy highway, on a bridge.
Benjamin knows nobody's perfect. In 2016, court records show she rear-ended someone after the brakes on her bus failed. She said it was a replacement bus and she hadn't had a chance to do a pre-check on the brakes.
I feel like because I'm a bus driver, I understand that things happen.
But she says there's a difference between her accepting the blame for an accident and what she sees all too often on charter school buses, where few are willing to acknowledge the problem.
We wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation if everybody was more transparent. Everyone. All of the bus drivers, all of the bus company owners, the schools, they need to be more transparent.
Yeah, and speaking of transparency, we're now learning that some of those 18 local bus companies hire subcontractors to provide buses. Tamiko Benjamin drove last school year, for instance, for a company called K&S Transportation, which was hired by Hammond's Transportation to drive routes for KIPP charter schools. We looked at this in a separate story at 6 o'clock, and you can read it and watch the story on our website at wwltv.com. And Ton and Katie, this is just another example of something that we're learning about. That's another issue that needs to be looked into.
You know, I think she said it all in that story when she said, I have a right to this information. I have a right to know who's taking my child to school.
It's not somebody outside the system. She's the parent of a kid who was on that bus.
And she's speaking from experience, too, with her experience as a bus driver.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, David. And if you have something you'd like the investigators to look into, just send us an email at eyewitness@wwltv.com.